everybody. Welcome to my live. Give myself a second to come up. How's everybody doing tonight? It's Tuesday. I'm gonna flip my iPad so I can get a full screen. Second to come up. How's everybody doing tonight? Hold on. And the volume has to be off. Okay. All right. Well, I want to make some tropical cards tonight, which is the total opposite of the weather I think that everybody's got coming up right now. I saw some pretty bad forecasts today, so for all my friends and family in Chicago, and we're supposed to get some very, very cold weather, which makes us a little nervous here after what happened last year. But our energy company is telling us it's not going to happen again this year, so fingers crossed. We have lots of firewood just in case this year. So I hope nobody gets hit with really bad weather. But for tonight, let's just do some tropical cards and pretend like we're getting away. All right, let me turn my camera down and we'll get started. All right. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So let me start by showing you the set that we're going to use tonight. A couple of sets. 3 of the cards we're getting from this Artfully Composed suite, and this is really fun. I mean, tropical is right up my alley. I just love it. I knew as soon as I saw this set that I wanted to play with it. These colors are kind of, if you guys have ever been over, you know, these are kind of the colors in my house, and I kind of have some tropical theme going on, and I just love it. This reminds me of Hawaii, which I also love. So we're going to use that, and this is from the mini catalog from Stampin' Up! Okay, so here's the bundle we're going to use for the first card. This is Artfully Layered, and it has the stamp set, and I think really pretty fonts for the sentiments. And then it's got all these really great tropical dies to cut out the foliage, tropical foliage. So let me just show you the cards real quick we're going to do. We're going to do a birthday card. We're going to do a thank you card. This one is Sending All the Hugs. And then this one is really fun. This one is made with a free stamp set from Stampin' Up! And I cased this one right out of the catalog. So let us get started. Whoops, on our cards. All right. So this first one, we're also going to, for several of the cards, we're also going to use this set, which is stitched rectangle dies. All the different sizes of rectangles to just cut everything out. So let's get out our pieces for the first card. And this first card is pretty easy to do. We're starting with our card base as usual. This is Evening Evergreen cardstock, and it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and just folded. It's going to go this way. This DSP, the Tropical DSP, it's so pretty. I love the colors. Let me show you a little bit of this paper. It's got all these beautiful patterns in it, nice solid colors, smaller patterns on the other side. It's a little wild in some places, but if you love tropical, you will love this paper. All right, so I've cut a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 of this DSP, and we're just going to glue it right on the front of our card. And we'll just use some seal to adhere it. Center that, and that's good right there. The next thing we're going to do is take, now this is actually a similar DSP, but we're going to use the reverse side, and it kind of has that nice coordinating color, and we're just going to put that little strip right on with the seal as well. Okay, so that's going to go right there. Now next, this is the In Color Shimmer Vellum. And this is the Pale Papaya, which is one of the in colors for this year and next year. And it's got a beautiful shimmer to it. So we're just going to attach that right here. And I'm just going to use a little bit of seal right here, because this tends to show through the vellum. So I want to make sure that I'm going to place it in a place that we're going to kind of cover up with some of our foliage. Okay, let me do this. So place that right about here. Okay, and you can kind of see, the glue a little bit through there, but we're going to cover that up, so that's fine. Okay, before we put the rest of it together, let's do our stamping. And I'm going to do some embossing too because I think it looks so nice. So we're going to do happiest birthday wishes, and we're going to use our white embossing powder for it. And here's our sentiment. So let me get out the Versamark pad. And we'll put that right here. Okay. Might have gotten that just a little bit crooked. I don't think I'm really happy with that. Get out a different one. Let's try that again. You can always flip it over to the other side too, because it's stitched on both sides. It's just kind of a reverse stitch on the other side. So let's try that again. Now, the best way to do this is to just do it on your cardstock, and then when you're finished, die cut the piece out so you can get it aligned perfectly. All right, so let me see if I can get this a little bit straighter. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And like I said, we're going to use our white embossing powder. We'll just sprinkle that on. Shake it off. Looks like I've got a little bit stuck where I don't want it to be. I'm just going to kind of scrape some of this off here. A good way to do this is if you have a little bit of a paintbrush, you can just kind of softly brush away the part that you don't want to emboss on there. And I do have a paintbrush, so make sure it's dry. Get some of that off. Oh, it's a little bit wet. Well, go with it anyway. All right. Let's go ahead and heat emboss that with our little tool. Okay. All right, now let's start gluing down. Now these, like I showed you the dies, I just cut these out. I've got a couple little pieces to get out from the inside. And you can see these are the dies that I used to cut this out. This one I cut out in Old Olive, and this one is Calypso Coral. And that one was from that die. And then this really pretty leaf down here I cut from the Evening Evergreen. So I'm going to get out a little piece of scrap paper, just as a background for my glue. And then I'm going to use my glue pen that I like to use. And we'll just spread some glue and put these down on our card. This one's sticking up right over here. Just press that down for a minute. Hope y'all are having a good week so far. Tomorrow's hump day, thank goodness. Alright, this one just off to the side a little bit like this. And then the last one we're going to put just right over the others. There's lots of different ways you can glue this down too. You don't have to use this glue pen. You could use regular glue. You could use a little sponge dauber. for some regular glue. The other thing that Stampin' Up! Has is they have these adhesive sheets. So you could put some adhesive sheet on the back of your cardstock before you cut it, and then you just peel it off. It turns it into a sticker, which is really nice and easy to do. So lots of different ways you can do this. Everybody kind of has their own favorite way of doing it, right? Okay, that's all glued down this way. All right, I'm going to get some dimensionals, and we will pop up our sentiment. And we'll center it right about there. Okay, card number 1 finished. Pretty easy, right? I think it's really pretty. I love the tropical flare. Now the inside, you can use, you know, sometimes we like to decorate the inside, right? Because it's a dark outside card base. So you're just going to put a 5 1/4 by 4 sheet of basic white cardstock in. And then I just took a couple of the stamps from the set and just stamped a couple of the leaf images inside. And then you could either stamp happy birthday or just write whatever you want inside the card. Okay, so let's move on to our next card. Now the next one we're going to do is this pineapple card, and this is a thank you. Now this one is also from a free stamp set that you can get with the Celebration catalog. It's free with a $50 purchase. There's only 3 stamps in the set, but they're fun island vibe stamps. So we're going to use this green foliage one, and we're also going to use the pineapple for this next project. All right, let me get this out. Okay, so this card base is pale papaya. Same dimensions that we've been using. Folded in half. It's also going to open like this. I'm going to bring my scrap paper back. Get the part. I don't want to get any glue on my card, so let me fold this in half. All right, what we're going to do first is stamp some pale papaya leaves on the edge of the card, right down the middle. Okay, so I have this stamp, and I'm just going to use the pale papaya. And let me see. Here it is. Ink pad. So it's kind of like tone on tone, same color. So we'll just ink that up, and we'll start up here. We'll just kind of turn it to mix it up a little bit. And we're just going to go right down the side. Very subtle, but I think very pretty also. I'm going to go inward just a little bit more. Okay, I think that's pretty good. One more, I can't help myself. Okay, that should be more than enough. Okay, so next I've taken some more DSP, Designer Series paper from the set. Also tropical, you can see the tropical side here, and we're just using this green pattern side right here. Now what I did is I had the normal piece that would go on next, which would be the 5 1/4 by 4, and I took one of the dies from the set, which is this, which this really says Hawaii to me too. It's a nice print. Oh, this almost reminds me of University of Hawaii, right? I think that's part of their logo. They have like something like this. Anyway, what I did was I just die cut it like this, and it cut the paper off like that, and it left this really nice stitching design right here. So I ran that through the die cutting machine, and we're just going to adhere that to our card with the seal. And I'm going to put it right about here. I don't want it all the way to the edge, just about like that. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is do our stamping. So we're going to start with the leaf design, okay? And we're just going to stamp this in Evening Evergreen just on a regular piece of white cardstock. I'm just going to ink this up really good. And this stamp, you can just see from the shading in the top of the stamp itself how it's going to come out with the light areas and the dark areas. It's going to look really pretty when we stamp it. And I'm just going to go kind of close to the corner edge here. Just press it down. And that looks really pretty. So what we're going to do next is cut that out with a pair of scissors. And if you wanted this really straight on the bottom, I'm going to not leave an edge here. I'm going to cut right up to the edge of where we stamped right there. You could use a paper trimmer if you want to get a really straight edge. I'm just using a large pair of scissors. I think I get a pretty good cut with a large pair. Hold on. Go around that a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to use my paper snips to get a little bit more control in my cut, and I'm just going to cut around the edges to cut our shape out. And I'm just going to leave a little bit of a white border going around. I'm having trouble with the shadow from the light. I can't see how close I'm getting to the edge. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see if I'm inking up my fingers already. It's all part of the experience. Got to get ink on my fingers. Okay. All right, that's it. That's all we're going to do with that. Now we're going to adhere that to the bottom of the card. And I'm just going to use seal for that as well. I'm going to put that right up to the corner. Right like that. Okay. Next, the pineapple. And this part's a little bit tricky. So I'm going to get out my Stamparatus for this. Now, you don't have to. If you have good eyesight and a steady hand, you really don't need to do this, right? I'm going to put it right about here. And use my super strong magnets to hold it in place. So we're going to stamp in two different colors. We're going to do the Crushed Curry and the Evening Evergreen. So I'm going to get my pineapple stamp, and I'm going to put it, you know, where do I want my image kind of centered on this stitched rectangle that I have. So I think I want it right about here, my image. And then I'll just bring this over and pick it up so it'll be in the right place. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of Post-it tape and cover up the part that I don't want to ink, which is I'm going to cover up the top, and I'll do the bottom with the Crushed Curry first. So I'm going to take my ink pad and just ink up the Crushed Curry. Okay. And then I'm going to remove the Post-it tape. And then I'll bring that over and stamp the image. Let's see how that came out. That looks nice. Now I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Now, I'm just using a baby wipe to clean off my stamp. You could also use the little pad that we always use to clean off stamps with Stampin' Up. But because it's on this platform and I don't want to move it, I'm just going to use a little bit of baby wipe to clean it up. So we're starting with a nice, clean, fresh stamp again. Now this time, hopefully that'll dry for a second, I'm going to put the Post-it tape on the bottom of the image. Dry. Okay. So I'll put it right across the bottom here. And then I'm going to ink it with the Evening Evergreen on the top of it. Okay, that's pretty good. Don't forget to take off the Post-it tape. And we are good. Stamp it right up here. Good. We're happy with that, right? I think that looks pretty good. Hold on. I do have ink all over my fingers already. Let me just clean myself off before I ruin the freshly stamped piece. Okay. And that's it. We're all finished. Let me put this here to protect it. Okay. All right, now I've also cut out another stitched rectangle of the evening evergreen, and that's going to serve as kind of our frame or backdrop. So we're just going to put the pineapple right onto the green mat. So we'll use some seal for that. Get that nice and centered. Okay, that looks good. Then we're going to pop it up onto our card. Okay, and we're going to offset that a little bit over this way. Good. All right, now we need a sentiment, and we're going to use thank you this time. And again, with the evening evergreen, we have a little bit of a theme going on here. And this is the sentiment from that same set, which says thank you. Let's see if I can get this one straight on here. I'm going to move it a little bit closer to me so I can see better. Okay. We're going to pop this up. Now, we've already got a popped up layer right here, so I'm just going to pop it up on the bottom and put some seal on the top. So I'll put this right along the bottom edge like that, and put some seal along the top edge, and we'll attach it that way. A little offset this way, I think. So that looks pretty good. The last thing we want to do is put some rhinestones on to decorate it a little bit. And I have some right here. So I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to pick those up. And this is from the Holiday Rhinestone set. I really like the green color. Now, it's not evening evergreen, but I think the green is close enough. It's kind of a dark green, so it looks pretty on this card. So I'm just going to put some right in the corners. And one of our corners is covered up. So I'm just going to put it off on this corner down here. Okay. All right. That's it for this card. The other thing is, if you want to go ahead and decorate the inside of the card, I've just taken the piece of white cardstock that's cut out to 5 1/4 by 4, and then I took that little piece that we had from cutting off the other side, and you can just put it across the bottom, and that just adds a little bit of decoration on the bottom like that. Okay, that's card number 2. Hope y'all like the card so far. The next one we're going to do, another tropical, kind of florally looking one, is Sending All the Hugs. So let me clean up just a little bit. I've kind of made a mess everywhere. And then we'll get started on this one. Okay, this one's pretty easy too. And let me see what we're going to do for this one. So we're using the same dies that we did before, with a couple exceptions. This brown die, this is Early Espresso. I use this die right here to cut that out, and that just screams Hawaii to me. I just love that. It's so pretty. I was like, I have to use that somewhere. And then this die set is called Palms Dies. And then I also used this die right here for this mint macaron piece underneath here to cut that out. And then this one we already used, so we're just doing a repeat of that. And then I'll show you what we did with the old olive when we get to that. And the other element to this card is this piece of vellum, and I just used the layering circles dies. You get perfect circles, all kinds of different sizes. So we just cut out a piece of regular circle vellum for this card. Okay, let's get out our pieces for this one. Okay, great. So this one we're starting with Old Olive, same dimensions for the card. And same pack of designer series paper, but we used a different pattern this time. And this one has some Just Jade, some Mint Macaron, Old Olive, and the Calypso Coral. And we're mirroring some of these same images in our card that are in the DSP with the cutout. Okay, so let's start by gluing this little patterned piece right here. And I'm going to just take your pick tool, because it looks like after I die cut I've got a few little things to punch out that are still stuck in there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Get out our piece of scrap paper and get this glued up. Anybody taking a trip this year to go someplace tropical? Doesn't that sound heavenly? Okay, so we will glue this right along the edge of the card with just a little bit of a border. And there's not much of a border at the top and bottom. The die is just about perfect for this size card, right? Okay. Make sure that's straight on there and press that down for a minute. Okay, then we're going to take our DSP and put it right next to that with our seal. Okay. Now let's see if we can get this straight with a little border on the side. Okay, it looks fine just like that, doesn't it? Okay. Next layers. So before we put this next layer on, and this is just another stitched rectangle, and this is just in the basic white, I want to stamp it with one of the images, and it kind of mirrors these leaves here, so I'm going to use the Just Jade, but I'm going to stamp it off. Let me get out my Just Jade, because it's a little dark, so I want it to be a little bit more muted to match better. All right, and this is kind of a big stamp. So this is the stamp we're going to use. Let me put my piece of scrap paper underneath, because this isn't going to fit. We're just going to stamp part of it onto our piece of cardstock. Okay. And I'm just going to do it right about like this. Oh, I forgot to stamp off. I meant to stamp off. Okay, let's do another one and stamp off. That way you can see what the difference is. Alright, stamp off first, and then we'll do it. See, I think that color is much better to go with the card. You can see the difference how dark that one is, and I think this one goes much better with the color of card that we're working on. So we're going to use the one that we stamped off. Okay, so we can go ahead and adhere that to our card. And we'll put that kind of centered, but kind of near the top. Okay, then we're going to put our next layer is our piece of vellum, the circle that we cut out from that. And I'm just going to kind of do a little bit here and here. So again, it gets covered up. And I'm going to put that near the top. And that mutes the stamp even a little bit more and makes it look even prettier, I think. Okay, so let's glue and add our other layers. Back to this piece with the Calypso Coral that we used. This all glued up. This might be one of my favorite colors. and we'll just glue that right about here. So that's right on top. Okay, then we're going to take, this is the mint macaron. I showed you the little die that we used for that, just a little fern leaf. So we're going to add that next. It's nice with Stampin' Up! That everything coordinates, the colors, the dies and stamps to the paper, you know, the designer series paper. It's just all coordinated so nicely, so you can just really have fun and things work for you that way. So we're going to put this one coming up right there. Okay, now the next one we'll put on last, but I'm going to tuck those in once we get our sentiment on. So this sentiment, another one of my favorite die sets, is the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and you can see I used this die right here to cut out this piece of the old olive. And in the card I used, I think it's the old olive, so it's kind of a tone on tone. I think I'm going to try the early espresso, the brown, and see how that looks stamping the sentiment on the green. So we can try that and see which one we like better. And we're going to be sending all the hugs. So let's stamp that on. Okay. I like it better in the brown. What do you guys think? Better in the brown or better in the green? I just feel like it shows up maybe up a little bit better in the brown and complements the side. All right, so let's pop that up and attach our sentiment. And I think that'll look good right about there. Okay, lastly, I just want to put those other two pieces of old olive on. And so I'm just taking a little scrap of old olive paper, and I have a really fun punch. And it's got these like, it almost looks like little leaves. So I'm just going to put my piece of cardstock in here and punch it. I love a punch because it's so easy to do and so fast, right? So now I have my two little pieces that I'm going to put in. Now you can leave them just the way they are, you know, kind of the blank green like that. Or I was trying to kind of mirror that, so I used a little bit of the old olive pen and the blunt tip, and I just kind of just made a stem down the middle and kind of just little circles there. You know, just kind of messy. Right down. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just wanted to, again, kind of mirror what was there. So let's use a couple of glue dots to attach those. And I'm going to put one right here. And the other one opposite side. Okay, and that's it. That's the front of our card. What do you think? You like it? I think it's cute. Very tropical. I didn't do an inside for this one, but of course you can do that. You can add more die cuts. You can add more stamping, whatever you want to the inside. But one fun thing that I wanted to show you that you can also do with the DSP is decorate your envelope. So here's an envelope that I did that matches the first card that we did, and I've just decorated the flap with some designer series paper, so you have a nice decorated envelope to go with your card. So I'll show you how I did that. So we're just going to take an envelope like this, and here's the same piece of designer series paper that we used for the card that we just made, and I'm just going to attach it to the flap. So I'm just going to run my seal along the flap. This is the outside of the flap. Okay. Then I'm going to line up my paper, and I think I want it to go like this. I'm going to line it up like this, right along the crease, like that. So our flap's going to look like that. Then I'm just going to take my scissors and just cut around the edge. nice easy guide because you have the white envelope flap right there. So you know exactly where to cut, even with the shadows. Okay, and now you have a fun flap that matches your card, which kind of dresses things up a little bit. So you can do that with all your cards if you want to. So, okay, that's it, card number 3. Now this next card we're going to do is really fun, and I cased this right out of the catalog because I thought it was just so cute in the catalog that I wanted to just do the same card basically. I changed like the color of this DSP. They had yellow. I kind of like the pool party better, so I used that. Do you guys remember these old VW, I want to say bug, but I know it's not a bug, it's like the van, the old VW vans that they had. I think there was a special name for that, but I can't remember exactly what the name is. Anyway, so here's the Celebration catalog. This is the set. It's called Driving By. It's another free set you can get with a $50 purchase. And this is the card that I was talking about that we're going to case right here. And this is what the stamp set looks like. You have like almost a little convertible. You do have a VW bug and then this van and some really cute little sayings. So we're going to use this free set for our card. The other thing we're going to use is from the Paradise Palm set. We're going to use these little palm trees in the background for our card. So that's a stamp set that we're going to use. Okay, here's our pieces for this card. And we're going to start with Pumpkin Pie, a nice beautiful orange piece of cardstock, same size, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. This one we're going to open this way. Now this DSP is all the colors they have, you can get some DSP to match, right? And it's got different patterns on it. So this is Pumpkin Pie, and we used the pink one last week, if you remember, to do our little Catching Butterflies girl, to do a plaid dress for her in the polished pink. Well, this is the Pumpkin Pie, so it's just going to match our card like that. So let's just go ahead and put that on. So that's kind of our backdrop there. And then this one is Pool Party, and the same thing, it's got different patterns on it. And we're just going to put this, let's see which way I wanted that. I feel like this, well, I guess it's not a little bit long, it's good. Let's put it on this way. Just want to make sure it's kind of angled off like that. And that's good. All right, so that's our card base. Now the next part we're going to do, I'm starting with a piece of the fluid watercolor paper that Stampin' Up! Makes, and we're just going to do a little bit of a watercolor to the background before we do our other part of this card, okay? So let me get out another piece of backdrop. So this is when we're going to use our little water painters, right? So this is just a brush. And it's got some water in the end, and we're going to use this for our watercolor backdrop. So we're going to start with the sky, and I'm going to do the sky in Balmy Blue. And I'm just going to take a stamp block and get some ink on it. And then I'm going to squeeze where it says push and get a few drops of water out of my brush. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of swirl it around with the ink to pick up some of that blue, and it's very light, and that's what I want. I just want it to be very light, to kind of very subtle background. You can see how that's going to come out, and I'm just going to do a couple streaks across, just like this. Pick up a little bit more. That's it, and that's all I want to do. Okay, so let me clean this off. And I'm going to clean off my brush. I'm just going to keep pushing some of that water through to clean my brush off. We're going to do the bottom in Sahara Sand. So we're going to use the same technique. And I'm going to take a block and get some of the ink on it. Same thing, add a little bit of water. And get the color on there. Okay, that looks pretty good. and just across the bottom, a couple streaks across the bottom, and that's pretty much all we're going to do. Okay, see how that looks, just like that, and we're just going to let that dry for a few minutes, and that's going to be our background. Let me just clean my brush real quick. Okay, nice and easy to use, right? All right, let's just let that dry. And in the meantime, we can go ahead and do our stamping of the little vans, okay? And our, let me just see real quick. Is this what I have for the inside? Okay, so that would be an inside piece. I'm going to use this bigger piece to stamp on. So I'm going to start by using my Memento black ink and just stamp the vans that we're going to color. This is the stamp. I'm just going to ink it up, and we're going to stamp 2 vans. I'm just going to stack them, actually. Put one here, one there. Okay, so that's stamped. We're going to color those. And then how we're going to do our palm trees is, here's the palm tree stamp, but we want it to be 2 colors, right? So we want it to have kind of the brown stem color and the green color. So what I'm going to just use is some Stampin' Write markers, okay? So I'm just going to, rather than use a stamp pad, I'm just going to color it. So I'm just going to go along the stems, and this is cinnamon cider. I thought that would be a good palm tree stem color for the trunk of the tree. So I'm just going to go ahead and get some ink on that. And then I'm going to use Mossy Meadow for the top of the palm trees. And I'm using the brush side of this marker. These Stampin' Write markers work really well for doing this. So I'm just coloring in my leaves with my marker. I pretty much have everything colored, so I'm just going to huff on it and then stamp. There, that came out really good, right? Easy breezy. So what we're going to do after we color our vans is we're going to take our die, because they make, love how they coordinate, they have a die, so we're just going to cut this out nice and easily with our die. So that'll be great. All right, let's go ahead and color our vans. So for that, I'm going to use these markers, and these are the Stampin' Blend markers. So for the first van, I'm going to use this pool party. So I have a light pool party and a dark pool party. So let me start, I'm going to start with the dark and kind of do around the edges first. I definitely want the top part to be dark. See how I do with the brush side. It's a little bit faster, but sometimes I go out of the lines when I'm coloring. So I'm just going to kind of go around the edges where I think it might be darker. And then they kind of had it off. Do you guys remember this color? You guys probably don't because you're young. Okay, but I'm older and I remember how they kind of had the front part of the van had the white. Very fun. So now I'm just coloring in the rest with the light pool party. And I'm going to kind of blend my colors. So let me go over it again, kind of blend these colors out. And I'm just doing all this on basic white cardstock, okay? All right. I think that looks pretty good. Now the next two I'm going to do, I have a light smoky slate. And I'm going to use the other tip for that. And I'm just going to do the bumpers, a little muffler pipe, and the inside of the wheels. And while I have this out, I'm going to go ahead and do the one from the top too. Okay. Now I'm going to take the dark smoky slate and do the tires. You could also use black for this to color it in. do not have the black blends markers, although I do have a Stampin' Right black marker, but I think the dark looks okay too. So we're going to get our tires done. And then after that, all that's left on the one is, I think I'm going to add just a little bit of tint to the windows. And I'm going to do that with the light, I think I want actually the light balmy blue. Let me try that because that one's really light. And I don't want it to show that much in the windows. I'm just going to kind of hit it just a little bit like that. So it just looks like, I don't know, maybe a little reflection in the windows. Okay, so that one's done. For the next one, I'm going to kind of mirror the background of the card. So I'm going to use Pumpkin Pie to do the next one. And this should go pretty fast. Oh, I didn't do around the wheels. Like, what are those called? Are they... They're not wheel covers, right? What are those called that go on the outside? I'll do those in a darker color. Let me get my dark one out. Blend some of this in. I'll definitely fill this in like that. I should have done these ahead of time so you guys don't have to watch me color, right? I'll do this part. Okay, then I'm going to take a little bit of this yellow color, and this is Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to go around the edges here. And maybe do, I'm assuming these are kind of lights on the side. Okay, and I think we're just about done coloring. Let me just hit that one spot that I missed. Okay, and we have our cute little vans all done. Now we're going to cut those out. And then we're going to pop them up on our card. And then we're going to be close to being done with this card. So again, just quickly go around the edge, leave a little bit of white. It's a pretty simple shape to cut out, which is nice. It goes pretty quickly that way. These do not have a die cut set with them, so you're fussy cutting, but I'm really grateful for the die cut for the palm trees because I think those would be a little bit harder to cut out. Okay, so we have one van. I'll quickly cut out the other one. Does this make anybody want to run to the beach? I know it makes me want to run to the beach. It's been a long time since I've been to the beach. I have to say, though, it was a really gorgeous day here. I was at work, so I didn't get to go outside and play in it much, but it was sunny and 72. It was just a beautiful day in San Antonio today. But we know what's coming, and I think the rest of the week is going to be not so good. I think we're not going to get out of freezing temperatures for a few days, which I know doesn't sound terrible for those of you who have really, really cold weather and who are going to get a lot of snow. Okay, so we've got our vans. The last thing we want to do is cut out our palm trees. So I'm going to get my mini cut and emboss machine and my die on here and just stick it in place for a little bit. A little piece of tape just to hold that in place. And we'll just run this through. I'm running a little bit longer tonight than usual. I run about 45, 47 minutes, and it's already 51 minutes. Sorry about that. But look how well they cut that out. Didn't that come out perfectly? I think that's just awesome. Now we can finish putting our card together. So we're going to take our background, and we're going to pop this up onto the card. grab some dimensionals. And we'll put this off to the side. Oh, you know what? This is not cut. I didn't cut this down to the right size. I'm just gonna take a scissor and cut part of it off. Take these dimensionals off. I'm gonna take probably a little bit off of each side. That's not bad. I'm just gonna take a little off this side too then. Just trim it up a little bit. And maybe just a tiny bit off the top. We've got some room. Should have prepped it and cut it down a little bit better. Okay, I think that'll work. So let me get those other dimensionals back on. We don't want the whole card taken up by just this spot right here. All right. Let's put that right there. All right, let's put our palm trees in place. And we're just going to glue those on. There's so many markers here. Okay, and we're just going to glue these flat as part of the background. Doesn't that look pretty? Looks like the beach to me. All right, let's use some seal to put down our orange man. Will go right there, and then we'll pop up this last one. And we'll put this one right in front here. Okay, we need a little bit of a sentiment, and we've got our teeny tiny piece of cutout here. We're going to stamp driving by just to say hi, and our black memento ink. We'll top that up, and that'll finish up our card for us. Okay, that's it. That's our cute little card. All right, so let's just quickly show you everything that we made tonight. We've got our happy birthday cards with a matching envelope. Do you say envelope or envelope? So we've got that one. Then we've got our sending all the hugs, also with a matching envelope. Our thank you pineapple cards. And then our really cute just driving by cards. I hope y'all liked the cards that we made tonight. I hope you had fun with me. If you place an order this week of $35 or more, here's the link for it. And using the host code, then I will send you all the stuff to make these projects for free. Okay, so I cut all the paper for you. You do need the stamp set and the dies if you want to like cut out your palm trees. But everything else I will die cut for you, all the little shapes, all the papers, and I will send that to you for free. I don't really have much else to talk about announcement-wise. I'll show you what I have coming up. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do next week or skip a week. I'm working on some software right now for my Facebook Live, so I've been playing with that. But anyway, these are the cards. We had a creative convention a couple weeks ago. And whenever the leaders do this, they always say, go ahead and use these cards in your classes. And I got to tell you, they did a beautiful job. I love these cards. We're not watercoloring. This is DSP with just some stamps on it. So these are the cards that will be either next week or the week after. And I just think they're just really, really, really pretty. This one with a flower stamp set, just a note. And then this one I thought was really pretty too with the backgrounds. So I hope you can join me then. I'll keep you posted if it's next week or the week after. And thank you so much for watching my live or the replay. All right. Bye-bye.